Good morning, I'm Madam Nyongesa and welcome to our lesson today. Today we are going to deal with what we call conditional sentences. Why am I going to deal with conditional sentences? Because if you go to any KCPE question paper, go through especially question 16 to question 25, either if they don't ask you to complete a conditional sentence, they are going to ask you to give a sentence that means the same as the conditional sentence that you have been given. It is very, but when you come to these sentences, learners do not know the difference between the types of the conditional sentences. Most of you can get the sentence that means the same if they ask you to give a sentence that means the same. But when it comes to correct completion of these sentences, most of you do not know when to use a present tense, when to use a past tense, and then when to use a past perfect. So today in our lesson, we are going to break down these types of conditional sentences, learn what conditional sentences are, and see how we can correctly complete them, and also give out the sentences that mean the same. So what is a conditional sentence? Conditional sentences are sentences in which actions in a sentence depend on each other. If I say actions in a sentence depend on each other, what I mean is action 1 depends on action 2 depends on action 1. So in conditional sentences, action 2 entirely depends on action 1. So conditional sentences are sentences in which actions in a sentence depend on each other. One thing must happen for the second action to happen. So the first action must take place for the second action to take place. That means if the first action cannot take place, then the second action cannot take place. Now, conditional sentences are also called the if clauses. Why? Because conditional sentences are formed by if. And when we are talking about conjunctions, we talked about conjunctions of conditions. If is one conjunction of condition. Now, if clauses are, we have three types of if clauses. Number 1 is the likely condition. Number 2 is the unlikely condition, also called the improbable. And then number 3 is the impossible condition. I say there are three types of if clauses. Number 1, the likely condition. Number 2, the unlikely condition, also called the improbable condition. And then we have the impossible condition. Let's go and talk about the likely condition. In the likely condition is also called the probable condition. Why is it called a probable condition? Because there is a probability of one of the actions to take place. If I say a probability is a 50 to 50% scenario. 50 to 50% scenario, I mean 50 to 50. It can or cannot take place. Cannot take place. Now, if conditional sentences, the second action must, if the first action does not happen, then the second action cannot happen. The sentences depend on each other. One action must happen for the second action to happen. So in the if clauses, it is called the likely. In the first conditional sentence, likely condition, also called the probable condition. In this type of condition, there is a possibility of one action taking place. Now, in the unlikely condition, these actions have not taken place. But there is a likely, or there is a high possibility, there's a chance that one action in the two actions in the sentence is going to take place. Now, we say these actions depend on each other. Example, the likely condition is formed by if plus the present tense plus will. If plus the present tense plus the will. And then when it comes to the present tense, it can be the present simple tense abijo. If I say the present simple tense abijo, I mean something that happens oftenly. Or what I mean is the plural verbs. Those ones with an S. Those ones without an S. Example in a sentence, I'm going to say, if I sing, they will clap. If I sing, they will clap. If I sing, they will clap. I'm having if plus a present tense plus we plus will. So if you see a sentence that they give you if and then they give you the present tense, then they ask you to complete the sentence, then you complete the sentence using will. Why am I saying that? Because when it comes to these sentences and they ask you for the completion, most pupils do not know when to use will and when to use would. If they give you the if, likely condition, also called the probable condition, if formed by if plus the present tense plus will. If plus present tense, which is sing, plus the will plus will. So if I'm going to say if I sing, they will clap. It is formed by if plus the present tense plus will. What does that mean? Look at my sentence. If I sing, they will clap. I'm having two actions in my sentence. I'm having sing and I'm also having clap in the sentence. And then I said in the likely condition there's a chance or there's a probability that one of these actions is going to take place. You don't know which one is going to take place. If I sing, they will clap. The second action, for the second action to happen, the first action must happen, or the second action entirely depends on the first action. So you say if I sing, they will clap. Now, what happens if they bring these sentences in the exam? This is where the mistake most pupils do. Or what are you going to base on to come up with the correct answer? So if you see a sentence, they say if I dash, they will. If I dash, let's say for example you have the question, if I dash, they will clap. Now, if you come to the answers, they'll give you some, they give you B, let's say, sing, C, they give you some, with an A. Now, most pupils will go for if I sang, they will clap. Most of you, I'm very sure. Most people are going to go for what? If I sang, they will clap. What is going to guide you in this sentence? The moment you see will, the moment you see what? Will in your sentence, just know that is the likely condition. And how do we form the likely condition? We form the likely condition by use of if plus a present tense plus what? Plus a present tense plus will. So if you come here, if plus, you see will, that tells you this is the likely condition, so you should go in for the present simple tense. So I'm going to say if I sing, they will clap. If I sing, they will clap. Now, let's go to the second type of conditional sentences. The unlikely condition. So the unlikely condition is also called the improbable condition. Now, what is the difference between the likely condition and the unlikely condition? We say the likely condition is also called the probable. The unlikely condition is called the improbable. Look at this in a sentence. Let's find this in a sentence. Why is it called the improbable condition? Because there is a small chance. The actions in the sentence might not take place, but there is a small chance, a very small chance that one of the actions can take place. But in the likely condition, there is a chance, a high probability of this one of the actions to take place. But in the unlikely condition, there is a small chance of one of the actions to take place. Now, these actions are likely, in the unlikely condition, these actions are likely not to take place. But there is a slight chance that one of the actions might take place. So you form the unlikely condition. The unlikely condition is formed by if plus a past tense plus who. If plus a past tense plus would. If plus a past tense plus who. If plus a past tense plus would. Now, look at my example in a sentence. I'm going to say if I sang. If I read, let me say if I read hard, I would. If I read hard, I would pass the exams. If I read hard, I'll pass the exams. Now, look at this sentence. It's formed by if plus a past tense plus who plus would. Now, most learners cannot differentiate between the unlikely condition and the impossible condition. Most can come up with the likely condition, but when it comes to the unlikely condition and the impossible condition, most of you cannot differentiate. If you see here a past tense, then you go for would. And these sentences are hard, especially when their pupils are told to complete the sentence. So when they give you this sentence, for example, if I read hard, I would. If I read hard, I dash. You see? Now, they say complete the sentence. Answer A, they are going to say, I would have passed the exams. I'll have passed the exams. And then B, they say, I will pass the exams. I will pass the exams. And I know C, it is going to be could. And maybe D, they are also going to come up with could. Now, most of the learners are going to choose what? A. Why is your A wrong? Yes, because you have in your sentence, which is the what? Which is the present perfect tense. But here, you are going to form the unlikely condition, which is also called the improbable condition, using if plus a past tense plus would. And what did I say is the unlikely condition? In this type of condition, the two actions are likely not to take place. But there's a small possibility that one of the actions might take place. Slight possibility. Well, let's say a 10% possibility that one of the actions can take place. Now, if I pass, I said it's formed by if plus a past tense plus would. Example in a sentence, if I read hard, I said I will pass the exam. If I read hard, I'll pass. If I read hard, I'll pass the exam. I'll pass the exam. Now, if plus read, I didn't say read, I said read. If I read plus who plus would. So I'm having if plus read plus who plus would. If plus read plus would, which is what? The unlikely condition. So if this sentence comes in the exam, and then they ask you to complete, if you just check the tense in the if clause. You check the tense in the if clause. Or if I check here my tense, the tense is in the past tense. If my tense is in the past tense, then I know here I should choose what? Would, standing on its own. So if you want to answer the unlikely conditions correctly, conditional sentences correctly, you have to identify the tense. Likely condition, present tense. Unlikely condition, past tense. You identify the tense in the sentence. Once you identify the tense in the sentence, it is going to guide you which completion you have here. What the correct completion to have here. If you check these questions in the KCP booster, you will see that if they ask for this completion, or for example, they just say, I will pass the exams, and then they want you to complete from here to begin the sentence. And then if they say, if I had read hard, I will pass the exam. And most people are going to go for if I had, which is wrong. I will pass the exams. My sentence does not have a have in the sentence, which means here I should have a past tense to make it the unlikely condition. So I'm going to say if I read hard, I'll pass the exam. It's called the unlikely condition. The two actions are likely not to take place, but there's a small chance, a small probability that one of the actions can take place. Now, look at my next example. I can say if I ate enough food, I'll be strong. If I ate enough food, I'll be strong. I'm having ate, which is the past past tense. I'm having if, which is the conditional, and I'm having who? I'm having would. So the unlikely condition is formed by if plus a past tense plus what? Plus would. If past tense plus would. Two other actions in that sentence are likely not to happen, but there's a small chance that one of the actions can take place. This brings us to the impossible condition. This brings us to the impossible what? Condition. Type number 3 of conditional sentences called the impossible condition. Called the impossible condition. So we say the impossible condition. Impossible condition. Why is it called the impossible condition? Because actions in this sentence cannot take place. Actions in this sentence cannot take place. Why can't actions in this sentence take place? Because maybe the chance or the time that these actions were supposed to take place is no longer available. I'm saying they are called the impossible conditions. Why are they called the impossible condition? Because actions in this sentence aren't going to take place. And why aren't they going to take place? Because the chance or the opportunity that presented itself for these actions to take place is no longer available. It is formed by if plus a past perfect plus would have. So we are going to say the impossible condition, actions in this sentence cannot take place. Why? Because the opportunity that presented itself for these actions to take place is no longer available. It is formed by if plus a past perfect plus would have. So you have if plus a past perfect plus would have. If plus a past perfect plus would have. How do we form the past perfect tense? The past perfect tense is formed by had plus a past participle tense. Had plus a past participle tense. Had plus a past participle tense. You know the past participle tenses, right? So any moment you see had plus a past participle tense, what does that tell you? It is my impossible condition. Any moment you see if plus a past tense, it does that tell you? It is the unlikely condition. Any moment you see if and then you see will, what does if plus the present tense, what does that tell you? It is the likely condition. So impossible condition. People should know this. People should know this formed by if plus a past perfect plus would have. Very different. So you say had if plus a past perfect. What did I say is a past perfect? Past perfect tenses are formed by had plus a past participle tense. So if I have something like had eaten, let's say I had eaten. Let's say had sung with you, or let's say had swam, especially when it comes to irregular verbs. Most people do not know when to use the past tense and when to use the past participle. So if you see the past participle of examples of irregular verbs, like let's say swim, which becomes swam, which become let's say began, which let's say you sang, let's say rang. This type of irregular verbs, an I to an A to a U. When you see this, swam, began, sang, ran, those are past participles. You can only use them if you have a helping verb. So if you see them, if you see this in a sentence, past participle, past perfect tense, formed plus had plus a past participle tense. And why am I insisting on irregular verbs? Because most learners do not know when to use a past participle, do not know when to use a past tenses of irregular verbs and past participles of irregular verbs. So if you come here, it's formed by if plus had plus a past tense. Example in a sentence. Let's go. So I'm going to say if I had worked hard, I would have, if I had worked hard, I would have passed the exams. If I had worked hard, I would have passed the If I had worked hard, I'll have passed the exams. Now, I'm having if plus past perfect tense plus would have, which gives me what? The impossible condition. Impossible what? Condition. Have if plus had, worked hard, plus would have passed the exams. What did I say is the impossible condition? This is a condition in which the two actions are likely not to take place, are not going to take place. Why? Why can't they take place? Because the opportunity or the chance that the actions had to take place is no longer available. And the answer is found by if plus a past perfect plus would have. If I had worked hard, I'll have passed the exam. I have passed the exams. Now, if plus had worked hard, would have. Now, this tells you when to use the unlikely condition and the impossible condition. What's the difference? In the unlikely condition, you don't have a past perfect tense. And also in the unlikely condition, you don't have a have. You don't have a have. So what does that mean? Any moment you see had, worked hard, let's say had, which is the past perfect tense, and then here you see have. What does that tell you? You should have here a past perfect tense, a past participle tense. Now, I said a past perfect formed by had plus a past participle tense. Now, you come here in the questions. Sometimes if they say if I had worked hard, example, if I had eaten, let's say if I had eaten enough food, if I had eaten enough food, dash. They say complete. You simply come to your answers. And then you check for those answers that have what? Would have. You come to the answers and check for the answers that have would have. But chances are very high they are going to also give you an answer that does not have. So if I had eaten enough food, answer A they will say would be satisfied. Answer B will be would have been satisfied. Now you say if I had eaten enough food, A would be satisfied, B would have been satisfied. What's the correct answer? If you give would here be satisfied, what does that make you? You are having the improbable condition, the impossible condition on one side, and the improbable condition on the other side. If I had eaten enough food, I'll have been satisfied. Why? I'm having if plus a past perfect tense plus would have in my sentence. If plus had, if plus a past perfect plus would have forms the impossible condition. Now, completing these sentences is easy. Unlikely condition and the impossible condition. Just make sure that in the unlikely condition, you have a past tense, if plus a past tense plus would. There is no had, there is no have. When you come to the impossible condition, you just make sure that you have a past perfect. What is a past perfect tense? A past perfect tense is formed by had plus a past participle. So when you have if plus a past perfect tense plus would have, you know that is going to be the impossible condition. And this is not hard if it comes to completing sentences. That's where most learners make mistakes. Any moment you see had worked hard, make sure you complete it what? With would have. If you don't have had here in your if clause, then complete it with just would, without would have, without a have. Now, if they ask you to give this meaning of a sentence that means the same. For example, I'm saying, if I had worked hard, I would have passed the exam, I have passed the exam. And then somebody tells you, give a sentence that means the same. What does that mean? You didn't work hard, and so you did not pass the exam. You did not pass the exam. Simple. You simply say, she did not work hard, and so she did not pass the exam. If I had ran fast, I'll have If I had ran fast, I'll have won the competition. Now, you will ask yourself, did I run fast? No. Did I win the competition? No. So why didn't you win the competition? Because you did not run because you did not run fast. What does that mean? The impossible condition, those two actions cannot take place. Why? Because the chances that you had for the actions to take place are no longer available. So if I ask you to give a sentence that means the same, if I had ran fast, I'll have passed the exam. If I had ran fast, I would have won the race. You simply tell me I did not run fast, so I did not win the exam. So I did not win the race. If you go to KCB poster, you are going to find a lot of these questions. Trust me, when it comes to question 16 and question 25. So in your own free time, you go through the video, you watch you write you make the notes, and then you go to KCP boosters, look for these questions, and then you attempt them. I'm also going to post the exercise where you can attempt the exercise. You can attempt the questions and you send me the answers. Just make sure you know when to use a present tense, you know when to use a past tense, and you know when to use a past perfect tense. If you are asked for a sentence that means the same, simply say one action did not happen because the other did not happen. But if the sentence is positive, for example, they say, if the ambulance service had not reacted fast, the patient would have died. What are you going to say? The patient did not die because the ambulance service reacted fast. So you attempt the questions and make sure you do what? You send them to me. Have a good day.